His Grace, Joffrey of houses Baratheon and Lannister, first of his name, King of the Andals and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm.
Actor Jack Gleeson, famous for his role as Joffrey Baratheon in the series Game of Thrones, is one of the few who became a victim of his own acting talent. His brilliant and convincing transformation into the character led to unforeseen and negative consequences for his popularity. His performance was recognized with an IGN award for Best TV Villain. He had other, including quite well-known projects under his belt. But despite everything, because of the overwhelming hatred from ordinary people who associated him with the sadistic young king, this role ended up being the final note of his acting career. In this video, we'll analyze one of the most hated characters in Game of Thrones, Joffrey Baratheon. We'll try to answer the question, why did he become a sadist? Why was Margaery Tyrell able to handle him while Sansa Stark became just a victim? And what was the main mistake of Joffrey's mother, Cersei? Let's take a closer look at this character. It's quite obvious that Joffrey Baratheon is a classic sadist. He derives pleasure from inflicting pain and witnessing it.
I said, harder.
This applies to both physical pain and humiliation. This is especially evident in his relationship with Sansa Stark.
But my mother insists on keeping you alive. Stand.
Time and again, he tries to cause Sansa moral suffering. And we clearly see how he rejoices when he succeeds.
No, please, no! This one's your father. Look at him!
And how disappointed he is when he fails.
How long do I have to look?
As long as it pleases me. Do you want to see the rest?
Understanding that this is what he expects, Sansa decides not to show her emotions, and we see how Joffrey gets upset by this. And a logical question arises, why did he turn out this way, given that Cersei's second child, Tommen Baratheon, is nothing like his brother? Sadism, named after the French aristocrat, writer, and philosopher Marquis de Sade, is broadly defined as a tendency towards cruelty, enjoyment, humiliation, and tormenting others for pleasure. Marquis de Sade is a proponent of the concept of complete freedom. But this is not the case where one person's freedom ends where another's begins. No, the Marquis preached the idea of freedom that was not subject to morality, religion, or law. His main value in life was the satisfaction of personal desires and aspirations. In the works of sexologist Richard von Krafft-Ebing, the term sadism was used to denote sexual satisfaction, achieved by inflicting physical or emotional pain or humiliation on another person. Over time, the words sadism and sadist have become widely used to denote a more general concept. Currently, there is a consensus in the scientific community that the cause of sadism is a combination of genetic predisposition and upbringing. In fact, this happens with many diseases and disorders. Genetics is like a musical instrument we receive from our parents, but what melody will ultimately be played on it depends on upbringing and developmental factors. Therefore, it's not surprising that Tommen is not like Joffrey. In one child, certain traits could manifest and be reinforced by upbringing, while in another, they might not. The fact that Joffrey turned out to be a self-satisfied, vain sadist is entirely the result of his mother, Cersei. Joffrey Baratheon is, from start to finish, a project and product of his mother.
You are my darling boy, and the world will be exactly as you want it to be.
And throughout the series, we only see how he implements the ideas that his mother instilled in him from childhood.
The king does not ask, he commands.
In raising Joffrey, Cersei, in a way, embodied her personal ambitions for the throne, which she could not realize due to circumstances and the patriarchal tradition of rule. She prepared him from a childhood as a future king and instilled what she thought were the necessary qualities. It was at her direction that Joffrey, against his desires, tries to behave with Sansa as she was taught.
Do something nice for the Stark girl.
I don't want to.
No, but you will.
Politely, as his mother taught him.
What is it, sweet lady? Does the hound frighten you? Away with you, dog. You're scaring my lady.
That's why Joffrey, raised by his mother and deprived of his father's attention, is so lacking in masculine qualities, in battle and wars.
If you won't defend your own city, why should they?
What would you have me do?
Lead!
But at the same time, he occasionally expresses sensible, mercantile thoughts about the politics of ruling the kingdom.
The Tyrells beside us will crush the Northerners, hang their lords, burn their strongholds, sow their fields with salt, and no one will think of rebelling for another century.
After all, this is where his mother excels.
I think they might. They're weak. They put too much value on their women.
In intrigues, behind-the-scenes games, and politics.
We allow the Northerners too much power.
How would you handle them?
I double their taxes and command them to supply 10,000 men to the Royal Army. So we should have a standing army of men loyal to the crown.
It was his mother who taught him to lie and deceive.
You're a warrior, like your father.
I'm not like him. I didn't fight off anything. It bit me, and all I did was scream. I didn't.
Someday, you'll sit on the throne and the truth will be what you make it.
She made him understand that desire and personal interest come first, and laws and rules come second.
May I see that letter, Sir Barristan? Is this meant to be your shield, Lord Stark? Piece of paper.
Okay, you might say, but what does this have to do with sadism? Does Cersei have such tendencies? Where did Joffrey get them from? And the answer to this question is in the scene of the second episode of the 4th season. During the feast in honor of Joffrey and Margaery's wedding, Joffrey begins to go beyond all conceivable bounds of decency. When he stages a performance with dwarfs, almost everyone is shocked by this stunt. Look at their faces. And look at Cersei's face.
I'm the rightful king! Challenge me, Kraken!
If you don't count a few sycophants, hypocrites, then only the Lannisters, except, of course, Tyrion, the object of ridicule. And especially Cersei derives true pleasure from what is happening. Therefore, I am sure that Cersei, like apparently their entire family, is also inclined towards sadism and violence. Look at their happy faces, and look at the faces of others. By the way, Joffrey's brother Tommen also genuinely enjoys it at times, and only when he sees Tyrion's sad face does he restrain himself. Joffrey mocks Tyrion, and Cersei, just like Joffrey, derives pleasure from this humiliation. Even the case when he starts another atrocity.
Your fingers or your tongue?
Your Grace?
Fingers or your tongue? If you got to keep one, which would it be?
Then shows supposed mercy. This is the result of his mother's upbringing, who taught him not only cruelty, but also politics. Therefore, he sometimes compromises with his brutal desires. Joffrey Baratheon is a distorted copy of his mother with the same sadistic tendencies. He is her flesh and blood, and she raised him to be this way. From the very beginning, Cersei raised Joffrey as a future king, and she thought she had everything figured out. She deceived Robert Baratheon by conceiving a child with her brother Jaime. She outsmarted Ned Stark. She thought she had everything planned, and now she would just rule everything from behind her son's back. She shaped Joffrey as a powerful and cruel ruler.
The world will be exactly as you want it to be.
But overlooked the obvious things. All that arrogance and authoritarian style of rule would eventually turn against her.
How many bastards does he have running? What you just did is punishable by death. You will never do it again. Never.
A child his age needed a firm father's hand. It was not right to give such power to the undeveloped psyche of a child who simply, due to his age, does not understand all the moral aspects of his actions.
You need to ask yourself what
I don't need to do anything.
She herself showed him by example that it's okay to lie and care only about oneself.
Those were the king's words.
He acts exactly the same way.
And my lady Sansa has begged mercy for her father. But they've the soft hearts of women. Sir Ilyn, bring me his head.
And if Joffrey had lived, I'm sure Cersei would have still fully experienced the consequences of her upbringing. In fact, Joffrey had two chosen ones, Sansa and Margaery. But despite all this, Margaery took a dominant position, while Sansa became just a helpless victim. Firstly, it's obvious that Sansa herself was an inexperienced child. She simply lacked the wit to influence Joffrey. All she could understand about Joffrey was that, like any sadist, he feeds on her suffering. And if she pretends that his bullying doesn't affect her, sooner or later he will get bored, which is what happened. Margaery, on the other hand, turned out to be much smarter. She immediately understood who Joffrey was. He is a spoiled child sadist. Tyrion knew this clearly.
One word, and I hit you again.
I'm telling Mother.
He understood that Joffrey was just a child who needed a good spanking.
You're talking to a king!
And now I've struck a king. Did my hand fall from my wrist?
Joffrey didn't have a real father who could properly raise him as a man. Robert Baratheon simply ignored him.
I should have spent more time with you. Shown you how to be a man. I was never meant to be a father.
For which Tyrion later paid the price. Margaery immediately figured out Joffrey. He's a child. And what do children love most? They love their toys. But Joffrey, being a sadist, had his own kind of twisted toys.
I just had it made. Probably one of the finest weapons in the Seven Kingdoms.
It's beautiful. Will you show me how it works?
And Margaery immediately began to take a keen interest in them.
Over there, the ashes of Aerion Targaryen. Would you like to see where the lost Targaryens are buried?
I'd love to see their tombs, really.
She didn't just catch Joffrey's secret thoughts and desires.
You must do whatever you need to do. You are the king.
Yes.
But literally looked into his soul.
Must be so exciting to squeeze your finger here and watch something die over there.
Could you do it?
I'm sure she understood Joffrey's essence more than he did himself.
Would you like to watch me?
And she immediately began voicing to him those secret thoughts he didn't even know he had.
Sometimes severity is the price we pay for greatness.
I couldn't agree more.
The further it went, the more Joffrey turned from a spoiled child into a real monster. But fortunately for the kingdom, which had already suffered under his rule, Joffrey's story ended in tragedy. He was poisoned by Olenna Tyrell, as she personally confessed to Jaime Lannister before her death.
A shocking scene. I'd never seen the poison work before. Tell Cersei, I wanted to know it was me.
The reason was the unwillingness to allow her granddaughter to continue living next to this terrible tyrant. If you want more character analyses from Game of Thrones, you can influence that. All you need to do is hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave any comment. This way, you'll signal to YouTube that the video is interesting, and it will show it to more viewers. I'll know you enjoyed the video and make more videos about the characters of Game of Thrones.